Hello, simplifiers. How are you guys doing? I've been completely out of the realm for a while. If you see this lovely decor behind me, this is my parents' house. I've been with my dad. This is, I think, day 3. Today's Sunday. Tomorrow's Monday. I'm going home late tomorrow. My dad is about to turn 94 in about a week and a day, couple days. It's on the 28th and October 28th. And my mom would have been, they both have October birthdays. My mom would have been 91 this year, and my dad is going to be 94. So let me show you, because I got the wedding picture out. I'll show you the wedding picture. So it's my mom and dad. My dad's kind of chunky, over just a little bit, not over hugely overweight, but a little bit chunky in this picture. But so everybody always thinks I look just like my dad. So, but I posted this. It's kind of funny. I think I do look a little bit like my mom in this picture, but normally nobody has ever thought I look like my mom. But I posted it on my Facebook, and a bunch of people are saying I look like my mom. And I was like, that is so weird. Nobody has ever thought I look like my mom. So these are my, okay, this is, what would she be? Great niece. Her name's Carolyn. And there's Roman, his little boy. I don't know why we don't have a picture of him. This is Dawn's kids when they were younger. So they're grown now. So this is Drew, and then, whoops, this is Elise, and this is Craig. So that's back when they were my babies. I used to keep them when they were little. This is my grandmother. This is my dad's mom. She was just gorgeous, and she had blue eyes. You can see how light her eyes are, and my dad's eyes are just almost black. They're really dark like mine. So that's interesting. And then this is my brother. My brother passed away. It's been over 20 years. So this picture, he had pancreatic cancer when this picture was made. And then he died, it was almost 2 years later. It might have been right over 2 years. So he lived for 2 years, which is sometimes kind of unheard of. But I actually have a friend right now who has pancreatic cancer. I don't think he's doing well at all, but he's actually had it for quite some time himself. And I feel like I messed this up. I feel like this thing is, I didn't mess that up. It's all bowed. Okay. I was cleaning around here today, and I thought that I did something to that. So anyway, that's who all those people are, if you're looking at pictures, wondering. And I don't know why we have a Christmas ornament, a Christmas thing, but it's just been sitting, oh, you didn't see that. We've had this Christmas thing sitting out for a year. Don't ask me. I don't know. My mother, she always had, and I do this too, have like a little Christmas thing sitting around all year. All right, so what's been going on with me? So I'm here with my dad. I've been here I got here Thursday late, and then I'm leaving Monday late. So Thursday to Friday, Friday, Saturday, Saturday, Sunday, Sunday, Monday. Yeah, 4 days. We're doing his continuing education. My dad is a clinical psychologist. He started practicing in 1959 when they got married. They got married in April. He just told me, I did not know this. He started practicing on April 1st, and they got married on the 20th. So I did not realize that he started practicing before the marriage. Did not know that. Just right before, but you know what I mean? I did not know that there was a period before. And then they got married on a Monday, which I didn't know that either till I was looking, or if I had forgotten maybe, but I was looking through their album with all the information. So one thing is funny, our last name is Drewery, and the write-up in one of the newspapers, my mom's last name was, I'm not going to say what her name is, because that's one of those personal information questions. I'm not going to say what it was, but it had her last name and then dash, and it said Dreery, dreary. So I was telling him that. I was like, this write up, that didn't have your name spelled right. It's supposed to be Drewery. It's Drury. It's hard to pronounce. My dad can't even pronounce his own name. It's crazy. All right, so what's been going on? So we're doing continuing education. I had to be here because he doesn't do computers at all. I've got him set up on the iPad. So we're doing Zoom, and it's been seamless so far. I've been so excited. We've had 3 days of this so far. We've got to do it again tomorrow, and then it does not. It starts at 8:30 in the morning and does not finish till 5:30. It's crazy because I don't really want to drive in the dark. I hate driving in the dark. I hate it. I know I'm going to have to because the time's going to change and all that, but I don't want to drive in the dark before I have to. So I won't be able to leave here until about 6 because it's going to get over at 5:30, and then we have to fill out an evaluation about the speaker. So that's part of taking the class. You have all these evaluations you have to fill out, and then you get your CEs. It's called a CEU, Continuing Education Unit, if you're not familiar with that. So we call it CEUs, but it's just continuing. It's just like CE, Continuing Education. Okay, so what was I going to tell y'all? I had something I was going to start this with, and I took a shower and it's already slipped my mind what I was going to talk about at the very beginning. The continuing education some of it has been annoying and some of it's been really good. So it's just kind of depending. One thing I was going to say, so my dad had always wanted me to kind of follow into his footsteps. And I think he knew I was probably too hyper to get a doctorate. And honestly, I didn't even care if I got a master's. I was a good student, but I was just happy to get through the bachelor's. I just wanted to, get done and have good grades, which I was, pretty high in my class, which was good. But at this point in your life, you don't even care about that anymore, right? I'm 56 years old. Who cares how high I was in the class? But at the time, it was very, very important. Like I was really studious, very studious person. So anyway, but he would have really liked me to follow in his footsteps, at least partially, because the other two kids did not. My brother was a civil engineer, and then he got a master's in business. So he, combined all that in his engineering career. It was really unfortunate. It was cut short, so early because he was only, I think, what did I say, 41? I think he was 41 when he passed away. And my sister's a nurse. She's been a nurse for 40 years, y'all. She's been a nurse for 40 years. And I need to ask her. She's been a pre-op and a post-op nurse for a really long time. And I'm wondering if it's been around 20 years, but long, long time. She works at a surgery center. She does pre-op and post-op. So both. So one day it might be pre-op, the next day it might be post-op. I don't know how they do it, but anyway, she can do the both. And then one of the doctors that she works with is my ENT. She picked my ENT for me, and so she usually picks most of our doctors, maybe not all, but most. But she picked my ENT, and so she works with him. She really likes him, and I think she likes him more than I do. I like his nurse practitioners. He's not my favorite. He was a great surgeon, A+ on the surgery. I didn't like him really as a person. I mean, he's all right, but anyway, so my dad was like, just get a master's in social work. It's pretty much the same thing because it's kind of like now, like you're a nurse practitioner. That's kind of like being a doctor. We know you're not a doctor, but you can pretty much do the same thing as the doctor can, but you have a doctor supervising you. That's kind of the way the master's in social work works. I could do basically the same thing my dad's doing, but I would have like probably a clinical psychologist over me, something like that. So I never did talk to him about it because well, the reason I'm talking about this, we did a class today talking about, I'm going to forget the word. Dang it. I was just talking my mind is gone. I was just talking to Spencer about this. Y'all. Boundaries. I was trying to say borderline. It had nothing to do with borders. Boundaries. It was talking about boundaries. And so when she got into this class, I was like, oh, this is not what I thought this was going to be about at all. But it was talking about boundaries between the doctor and the patient, I think my dad calls them, I don't think he calls them patients. I think he calls them clients. I think they got away from calling them patients. Anyway, I can't remember. My dad doesn't work with patients or clients anymore, so I can't remember now what he used to call them. But anyway, I think at some point they kind of got away from calling them patients because then you're thinking of them as a mental patient, and we're not going to do that, right? So we have to be careful, how we word things. But anyway, the boundary thing was crazy because she was talking about the boundaries between the doctor and the patient. And I was like, well, it's a good thing I didn't go into this because I was telling Spencer, I said, because, I don't have any boundaries, which is true. I would really have to suppress myself a lot because I can see me, if I'm talking to somebody and I'm counseling through something, and I'm sure you're taught not to do this or whatever, but I could see me just saying, I've had an experience kind of like this. And even if it wasn't the same thing, I can see me just kind of telling them, just, what I'm saying, just to have an example. I was like, I don't know if I would be able to counsel somebody, not giving them an example of my life. Cause that's just kind of what I do when I'm talking to people. If they have something they want to talk to me about and I have an example, I'm probably going to give it to them. Right. So anyway, that class was really interesting. The funny thing was I was so tired. We're getting up at like 6:15 and I was just bleary eyed and I don't know why I was so tired, but I was in the recliner half asleep during this, but it was still riveting. But I was like, I just wish I could wake up and listen to this woman because this is interesting. And some of this stuff is not. Some of this stuff is just like, not interested in this class at all. Some of the ethics stuff has just been like, so anyway, this was kind of ethics too, because it was talking about boundaries. So anyway, we did that. That was interesting, and it kind of reiterated to me that I took the correct path in life, which was to not follow my dad's footsteps, because I'm having a hard time getting past that. Like, I'm just like, I just don't think I would have been good with the boundaries. I think that I just lay my life out here. Y'all know, I just tell y'all. So I don't think I would have been good with the boundaries. And I'm sure this is something that's been discussed for years. I'm sure this wasn't anything that would have just been sprung on me today. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I were the doctor and I was listening to this, I'm sure I would have known this a long time ago, that I was supposed to have boundaries, and then I would not have the correct boundaries, and it would be bad. It would not be ethical. So I was like, it's probably good I didn't do this for a living. It's best I'm just cleaning houses, and I'm just happy as a clam doing that, and it makes me happy, and who cares what it's called? Because my parents are really into career. They're really career minded, and like I said, my brother was a civil engineer, my sister was a nurse, and here I come along, and I just don't really do anything with my life. And that's kind of how my parents looked at it. That's not how I looked at it. I looked at it as I was an entrepreneur and I started a business. That's how I looked at it. And I have a career. That's how I look at it. And it's part time, which is what could be better. I've worked pretty much part time the whole time. A lot, like worked all day, but it still wasn't full time work, because you had breaks and driving. There was a lot of driving because of where we lived. So the other thing, did y'all want a crown update? Because this this crown, the crown is not on. It hasn't been on for a couple weeks. I'm going to go back this week. So today is Sunday. So on Thursday, I'm going back, and he's going to put it back on. And I'm scared because I've actually been feeling really good. I've been able to go to the gym and just do all my gym stuff. In fact, my gym has this is like the best thing ever. When I signed up for my gym, there's a gym here that's the same. It's the same. It's like locally owned in Memphis, but they have stretched out. So Memphis and Jackson are not that far apart. So like it's only an hour and a half from Memphis to Jackson. So they have two branches here, and one is 5 minutes from this house, which is crazy because this house is in the middle of is like pretty far out. We're not in Jackson. We're far out of Jackson. So this branch, they've kind of moved Jackson out a little bit, and so this branch is only about maybe 7 minutes. I shouldn't say 5, maybe 7 minutes away. So I've been going over there every day. Now tomorrow I got to run some errands for him, so I'm not going to get to go, but we have a lunch break from like 12 to 2, and then I have to come back over here and set him up again. So at 12, I'm like, or 12:05, I'm running out the door, going to the gym, Dad, bye. And then I had to be back here before 2 to get him set up for the next one, because he doesn't know what he's doing. So, even thinking about trying to show him, I just like, Lord, don't let me have a wreck, because I got to get back over there. Well, so I went to the gym. I've been to the gym 3 days in a row. It's been great. Actually, I've been 4, because I went on Thursday when I was at home, and then I've been here 3 days in a row. And then tomorrow I've got to run the errands, so I can't go. But all that to say, on Thursday, I've got all kinds of appointments and work and all kinds of stuff this week. It's crazy. But so like Monday I'll be here, and Tuesday I got that big house I clean. I don't know if I talked about that, but I have a huge house I clean. It's like an all-day thing. And then I have to pick up something at a pharmacy that's in Memphis. While I'm in Memphis, I got to pick that up. And I hope I don't forget. I've got all this stuff in my brain. I can't forget that. And then Wednesday I have a couple appointments. Oh, that's what I was going to talk about was my hair. So my hair looks terrible, and then I got in the shower and it kind of perked up. I don't know. I mean, I didn't get it wet. It just sort of perked up a little bit, but the wind was blowing like crazy. Like the trees were just like crazy today. So my hair is just blown asunder. And especially at the gas, what is it about gas stations? I was at the gas station and I was like, burr, it's so cold out here. Well, it's supposed to be in the 40s tonight, which like right around 40, which is, we haven't had anything. It's been 50. It's been 50 overnight for a couple weeks, at least 2 weeks, but in the 80s in the daytime. So it's been perfect for me. 50s or 60s to 80, some great, no problem. Well, so Wednesday I have a hair appointment, and I wondered if I wanted to go back to this woman. I think if you remember, the woman I had been going to, I'd probably been seeing her for 15 years. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this side was an inch longer than the other side. Do y'all remember that? And then the back, it was all crazy. And then I was having to like pull it around here and try to just trim it, because I have no idea. I can't cut hair. I don't know what I'm doing. But I was just trying to get it kind of straightened up because it looked horrible. if I curled it, it would look okay. Otherwise, it was all hanging funny back there. So I don't normally curl the back. I just I curl like three pieces. So like from here, 3 pieces this side, 3 pieces on this side, and that's what this is. It's all falling out, but it was curled. So the back is about this wavy without doing anything. So I just curl the front, and then who cares what the back is wavy? Who cares? So anyway, I was trying to decide if I want to go back to this woman because this is crazy, y'all. I know her and I picked her because I knew her and because people that I knew her and go to her and like her. Now I liked my haircut. It's still I still don't I can't you can't see it because it's back here, but it's still not quite even. I don't think it's still even, but it wasn't an inch off. I mean, literally, it was like at least that much. Maybe it's more than an inch. It was at least an inch off. Maybe I measured it. Anyway, it was a lot. So I know her from Bible study. When I went to her, she was very friendly, very nice, very talkative, even talked to me about she and her sister don't really get along. Like I was really surprised that she really got into that kind of conversation with me because she doesn't know me. But here's the thing, I work with her kids. I work with kids at Bible study. That's what I do. I'm a helper. I used to be an actual leader, but it's a lot of responsibility. And I just, with all this going on around here, I had to give that up. So I'm not a leader anymore. I'm a helper, which I'm fine with. Okay, so I don't actually have her kids in my room, but they weren't really, let's see, they weren't really supposed to be in my room last year, but they got moved. It was a long story, so we're not going to get into why, but they got moved for about half of the year. So her kids were in my class last year. Her kids are coming in my class a lot this year. She won't speak to me. I mean, like she goes to great lengths not to even look at me. Now, what sort of person is that? Do y'all know? And then I'm like, well, maybe there's a reason why you and your sister don't get along. Is she this rude? I mean, are you this rude to her? I mean, I'm not kidding. She was standing right here, right next to me, and doesn't acknowledge my presence. I think that is to me, it's snobbish. I don't know. I went to a school that was very snobbish, so I pretty well know snobbish behavior. And to me, that's what I would call it. I don't know what else to call it. And so I told my sweet little friend who keeps her kids and loves her, like she just loves her kids, and I love her kids too. But I told my sweet little friend about it, and she said, "Really? She doesn't talk to you any?" I said, "It's like she's going out of her way not to speak to me. Like I'm standing next to her. How do you not speak to someone who's standing next to you? I mean, it's just." And she's, some weeks the kids are in our room and she's picking the kids up and she still finds a way not to speak to me. I'm just like, this girl. So I was telling another friend of mine and she said, I would never go back. And I was like, I know, but I loved I mean, it's probably not the best haircut I've ever had, but the other girl, I don't want to go back to her. She scared me, frankly. I don't understand how you can go to somebody for, I don't know, however many years, definitely over a decade. And I think longer, I think more like 15 years. How can you go to somebody that long and then suddenly out of nowhere they can't cut your hair? It was weird, y'all. And I try to give her a break because she had 2 daughters. This was crazy. I really do give her a break, but she had 2 daughters who died in separate car accidents. One of them was pregnant. So she's had 2 daughters die and a grandchild. So 2 different car accidents in Memphis. Sorry, my throat is dry and tickly. In Memphis, which is I'm terrified to drive Memphis. It's crazy. There's like the Audubon on the interstate system. It's just nuts. But they were in separate act. They were not, and it was like a year, maybe a year and a half apart. I mean, it was very close, but like a year and a half apart. And then one of them was pregnant, so she's lost both of her daughters. I think she has one son left. I think it's just one son, maybe two, but I think one. And then she lost a grandchild too. It's just insane. So I give her a break because of that. But on the other hand, my hair looked ridiculous. Ridiculous. And she even, so the back was all messed up. She even did something and like did a little cutting, before she let me go, she did a little bit more cutting. And I'm like, and this is what I ended up with. How did this happen? I still don't know how it happened. So I don't want to go back to her. And then my sweet little friend that I was talking about that I told her, she hasn't even spoken to me all year. We started back in late August. We're now in middle of October or toward the end of, well, we were off this week. That's one way I was able to be here on Thursday, but that's over 2 months, right? All of September, part of August and part of October. That's 2 months. She's managed not to speak to me for 2 months. Well, anyway, my appointment is this week. So that's where I'm going with that. So that's a weird, I think that was what I wanted to talk about, was the weird hair situation, because that's just weird to me. And then the crown, because we hadn't had enough uproar, it's resting. Not the crown. My gum is resting. There is I think they call it a resting cap or something. I went to the oral surgeon. I was telling the story and then I had to cut off because my dad was calling. I went to the oral surgeon. He does not think it's the implant. At this point, I don't think it's the implant, because now that he's taken the crown off, nothing is hurting. I'm going to go get some water. I could use a cough drop. Anyway, this is funny. I was at church and I was talking to I wasn't even talking to this particular person. I was talking to a little bit younger. The person's older than me, but they were just like, they're like 65. And then somebody that was like 80 in their 80s piped up, I think it's a problem with that tooth in the back hitting your other tooth. And I was like, you know what? The oral surgeon asked me, did I think it was my bite? And my regular dentist asked me, did I think it was my bite? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I know it's my mouth. I don't know what is going on back there. I couldn't tell you what the problem is. However, I started thinking after the guy said that. Now, this guy's had a ton of dental work. I think this is why I'm like, I should listen to this guy. He's got a ton of dental work. He's like, that hitting, that can cause problems. And I'm like, you know what? I bet that is it, because when I wear I've got a retainer on the bottom and a mouth guard on the mouth guards really keeps me from clamping down back here. It's on my front teeth and it holds my mouth open. It's very weird how it works. He told me, because I grind really bad. And so he told me it would work. I got this from the orthodontist. And he told me that this works on not everybody, but just about everybody. So there have been times where I woken up. I don't know my grammar right now. I did know grammar, but I don't know it right now. There have been times when I have come alive in the mornings and I am like gripping down back there, which is almost impossible with that thing to do. But clearly I am stressed. A lot of it has to do with this right here. We're doing better, but there's a lot of stress with this situation right here. I love my dad dearly, but stressful. 94-year-olds are stressful. But it's definitely been going better, but a lot of stress. So anyway, I've noticed that I've clamped down some. But another thing I noticed when I still had the crown on was I would wake up in the morning and I was not having all that pain. And I thought it was weird. That should have clued me in. Because I've been having this. It wasn't even that the pain was so bad. It was just that it was constant and wouldn't go away. And then it was making me physically sick. And then my dentist said, that's not possible. And I'm like, well, and he's like, I think there's something else wrong with you. Actually, I haven't been physically sick since we got rid of this crown, which is now at his office and not in my mouth. So clearly that was what was making me physically ill. Let me tell you. So he had taken it off. He had promised me, this is where he went sideways with me. He had promised me he was going to take that thing off, and then I was going to have a rest. And then he was going to I was going to go to see the oral surgeon the next day. Well, when I got in there, he changed his mind. He took it off. He did some trimming on it. And he's like, well, we're going to put it back on. I was very irritated about this. Very irritated. And I was like, you are so mean. Really? Because I've, not kidding, physically sick from this. You would be blown away if I told you what all this was causing. Just like, first of all, I had like a headache for 5 days. And then I'm just not even kidding. Since it's just the 5 of us here, right? I was having breast pain only on this side. And it was excruciating. Like, it was worse than the gum pain. And I'm just like, do I have cancer? I wasn't relating it to this, okay? All out of nowhere. I had this horrible pain. Now, I had not a mammogram because I don't really want one. I had an ultrasound. I paid cash to have an ultrasound done just recently. They found nothing. Everything's fine. And I believe in ultrasound even more than I believe in mammogram. So I think I'm fine. But it hurt so bad, I was like, I believe I'm going to have to schedule a mammogram. Well, it was this. When he adjusted the crown, the headache stopped immediately. Okay. Now, he said it wasn't possible for me to have all these problems. The headache stopped immediately, and they did not come back. I don't think I've had a headache since. I haven't taken anything for a headache. By the way, anything I took for the headache was not fixing it. Is that not crazy? Like, I have different things I take for migraines, and it didn't feel like a migraine exactly, but it was annoying. It was very annoying, and nothing I took. So, like, normally Excedrin would at least sort of help, right? Even if it didn't knock it out, it would sort of help. It did nothing. I think I finally take one of my migraine pills. I don't think that did a whole lot either. That, you're in trouble if the migraine pill doesn't work, because usually within 30 seconds the thing is just, or I would say within maybe 3 minutes, migraine gone, migraine all gone. I'm sorry. So I really am dry. This house is dry. I think not. My house is humid. This house is dry. Anyway, yeah, this thing has just wreaked havoc, y'all. It's wreaked havoc. And so anyway, I got really irritated because he was like, well, the oral surgeon's going to see you tomorrow. He needs to see it on. I was like, I actually don't care if he sees it on or not. And then he said to me, he can take it off if he wants to. Well, I should have asked him to take it off, because let me tell you something. It wasn't hurting that bad. It really wasn't hurting that day. Although the doctor found a pain point on my gum on the inside, like right here, but all the way back where the crown is sitting, way back there, but on the inside, not the outside. So it's none of it's on the outside, it's all on the inside. So I guess it has something to do with how my tooth is hitting there and like clamping down on her. So I don't know, y'all, I don't know. But I do remember, now that the crown is off, I do remember that there were days I was waking up and thinking, oh, my mouth's not even hurting. Why would it not hurt when the mouth guard's on? That should have clued me in a heartbeat. This is how dumb I am. I pride myself sometimes on having common sense, but that was my common sense not working. It was not working, because it should have clued me in. It should have. So anyway, I did send him a text about that, because y'all know, Spencer says, I'm going to get your phone and take him out of your contacts, because so you'll stop bothering him. I'm like, if he's bothered, he can block me, okay? Did I tell y'all this? His wife gave me his cell phone number, and she said she gave me her cell phone number because we were in choir together, and gave me his, and she goes, well, he's your doctor now. Y'all, I love her. I just love her, because I've bothered him to death about this crown and this horrible pain I've been suffering. Like, Dr. Mike, can you possibly see me like soon and get this crown off? So because he said he was going to take it off and then he didn't, then I'm like, well, will he really? He said he would take it off. Like, if you have any more problems, I'll take it off. I really didn't believe him, because he said he was going to take it off before, and then he didn't. Then he changed in the middle of the appointment. He changed his mind, right? So I was irritated. Well, then, so I got an appointment and went back in, and he did take it off like a good little boy. He took it off. So anyway, it's been a whole 2 weeks since I've seen him. Monday, 2 weeks ago, he took it off. So Thursday, he's going to put it back on. I had to get through this whole thing with my dad first. I was like, I cannot be this sick. I can't function like this. I can't have breast pain. I can't do it anymore. I cannot. So I'm a little worried about what's going to happen. He said he's going to take more off, and I'm just like, I don't know. I'm afraid. So then I think he said, then if that doesn't work, I'm sending you back over to the oral surgeon. I'm like, what for? He's already said it's not the implant. Well, it turned out the oral surgeon kept telling me in a real hyper manner that he was going to call. He kept going, I'm going to call him. I'm going to call him. He was like practically yelling it, talking about he's going to call my dentist. He said that 4 different times, and he repeated himself. So it was like, I'm going to call him. I'm going to call him. Just like that, except louder, 4 times. And so my dentist is sitting in front of me. He'd finished, he's usually sitting like right here. Well, he'd finished all that, so he's in front of me talking to me. And he said, well, he never called me. Y'all, no kidding, I go, he lied to me. I had this look of shock. I'm like, Dr. Marotta lied to me? Because I love Dr. Marotta. Well, I don't think he actually lied to me. Dr. Marotta is super hyper. So Dr. Marotta comes in. I hope I haven't already told this story, but it's hilarious. That part about, I'm going to call him. I never asked him to call him, but he's like, I'm going to call. It was crazy. But before we got to that, I can hear him talking down the hall. I haven't seen him in 5 years, but I heard his voice. I'm like, well, here he comes. He is outside the door, and this room is huge. The room that I'm in right now is about the same size as this exam room. This room was huge. So I'm like in the middle of the room in the chair, and he's way back here out in the hallway, and he goes, "Well, hey there, young lady," and he's like screaming it out in the hall. He's not even in the room yet, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh." I'm like, I'm remembering now why I liked you so much because you were crazy. You were crazy. You were just crazy. So there were things about him that irritated me, but there were things that whole just like he has a way of looking at you like you're really special, and I don't know how he pulls this off. And I'm sure he looks at everybody. I don't think it's me, not at all. I'm sure he looks at everybody this way, but he has this look on his face like you are the most special person in his life. It's bizarre. So he's just, and I told my dentist, I said, I know the whole appointment. I was just sitting there like, because he's so funny and crazy and hyper and like bouncing off walls like Tigger. Like I told I was about to say my vet, not the vet, the dentist. I told the dentist, he's like Tigger. He's like bounce, 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 bounce. So I asked him, I said, because the whole time I thought it was infected. Because listen, every time I took an antibiotic, it stopped hurting. Isn't that weird? But there is no infection because I've had this crown off and I'm not having this pain. So it's not infected. And my dentist tried to tell me it was not infected. And the oral surgeon did not think it was infected. And I didn't listen to anybody because if I took an antibiotic, it stopped hurting. Now, why is that? The only thing I can think of is it has anti-inflammatory properties. A lot of antibiotics. I don't know if they all do, but some definitely have anti-inflammatory properties. And some have properties like autoimmune type property, like to help your autoimmune issues if you have autoimmune issues. I've read some about that. I think doxycycline is like that, and my vet's told me that too because he gave that to Sunshine, who has the autoimmune problem. So I know I'm like the Tigger. I'm like bouncing all over the place like him. But yeah, we're both hyper. I told my dentist, I said, man, because I admit I'm hyper. I was like, I thought I was hyper. Let me tell you, hands down, he's got me beat. I mean, I'm not even trying to compete with him. He was wild. But so at some point, I didn't believe them. I didn't need an antibiotic because every time I take one, I feel better. Everything clears up and I'm able to go on with my life and feel better. But I still want the crown off because it's still not 100%, but it was much better. So I was like, it's just got to be, I'm just having an infection that won't clear up. Well, they saw no sign of infection. Everything looked great. There's no infection. You're not infected. Well, I talked the dentist into giving me an oral rinse. That's an antibiotic oral rinse. And then I said, do you have something that's like a RX rinse of some sort? He's like, oh yeah, I've got samples. Great, I don't have to pay for it. So he bounces out. I mean, seriously, he's just like doing, 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 bouncing off walls. I don't know how they deal with it because he is wild. And then I'm like, well, I'm not going to see him again. He's just going to send the woman back, the woman back in. Oh, I forgot to mention this part. The woman says to me, before he ever came in, she's going through all this stuff. I had to fill out, it took me 50, not 15, 50 minutes to fill all this out just to go to this appointment. And it all had to do with surgery, of course, which I was not planning on having unless the implant had to come out. Otherwise, I'm not having a surgery there. So I go in there and she says to me, she didn't ask me while I was there. Most time, don't doctors ask you? My doctors ask me, why are you here? Not her. And she wasn't the doctor, but she was the nurse or whatever. So she says to me, you're here for an implant failure. My heart started pounding. I was like, this was news to me. I had just seen the dentist the day before, and that is not now, the conversation that we had was worst case scenario, your implant is failing. Look, I already knew that, okay? He didn't have to tell me. I already knew it could be failing. I knew that's why I was going to see Dr. Maroda, because otherwise I have no need to see him because the crown is the dentist, not the oral surgeon. So the whole point was to see if the implant was a problem. So Dr. Maroda, well, anyway, so she kept insisting I was there for, I was like, what is happening? She kept going, no. I said, no, I'm here to have it looked at. And she said, no, you're here for an implant failure. And I was like, well, I'm the patient. I think I know what I'm here for. So she said, I didn't say that to her. I'm just in my brain. And so she said, I'll read it to you. She read off to me with the dentist, it's a number, which that didn't even make sense because that's not actually what happened. The dentist found where the pain was coming from. Okay. The dentist found the pain. So, but it was the way the wording was, it was like patient has pain and we cannot find it. Well, that wasn't true because he found the pain. Now, he didn't think it was infected. He didn't see any infection, but he wanted to make sure that it could be that the implant, I mean, he didn't see anything, but it could be that something was going on. Well, anyway, she was so insistent that I was there for an implant failure. Well, now that the crown's off, I can pretty well tell the implant is fine, and he already told me it was fine. So anyway, when he came in, he was like, I don't see anything wrong with you. I don't think he said it would be wobbly, which I thought was crazy. That did not occur to me. I don't know if at the beginning of an implant failure, if it would be wobbly, but I could see where it would be wobbly at some point. Well, I knew it wasn't wobbly. So if that's part of it, we're definitely not having a failure. Nothing is wobbly. Thank the Lord, because I do not wish to have an implant failure. I would like this crown to go back on and not have any more pain. So anyway, I did, after I talked, I didn't tell him I talked to some older men at church that were missing a lot of teeth. I did not tell him that. But I did text my dentist because I have his number thanks to his wife. And I did tell him this whole long thing about, I said, did you ask me if it was my bite? And I think he did. He probably don't remember, but I'm pretty sure he asked me. And I know the oral surgeon asked me if it was my bite. I said, I'm thinking that's what it is. And I said, I actually think that I'm remembering now that it's a little taller than the one next to it, which means it probably is hitting that back tooth. If it's taller than the others, then it probably is. It probably would have to just even a fraction off is probably all it is. But it's just enough to be causing all this uproar. This has been going on for how many weeks now? Crazy. Well, I've had a good 2-week stretch with no, there is something occasionally that is painful, but I don't think it's the implant. I don't know what's going on. I almost feel like it's some sort of ghost pain or something weird, like because my tooth's missing and I don't know. And then I have developed this lisp. I don't know if you can tell, but because there's a tooth missing back here, I'm kind of have just a little bit of a lisp. It's kind of funny. So anyway, this is getting long, but anyway, I just want to check in with you guys and tell you I am still here. I'm still alive. Nothing's going on. I just haven't been posting anything because I wanted to post something right before I left. And then of course, crazy. I ran out of time and didn't have time to do anything and barely got here before dark. Again, don't want to be driving in the dark. Barely got here before dark Thursday because I had so much stuff going on and just had to pack up so much junk. My dad eats nothing but junk food. I love him. He eats junk all day long. And that's not what I eat. I mean, I ate a little bit of, like I had some ice cream and I had a couple like the little fun size candy bars. When I'm here, I don't eat like that at home. But when I'm here, there's so many carbs here. I'm just like, well, let me shove a carb in my mouth. So I eat a little bit worse here than at home, but yeah, nothing like him. But like I had to bring all my own food and I had to stop at the grocery store on the way and pick up more food because I didn't have enough. Anyway, I had to buy I eat yogurt, plain yogurt with berries in it in the mornings, like with no sugar or anything, just plain yogurt with berries. That's my breakfast. And I had to go pick all that stuff up. And then I drink organic milk. I had to pick that up. I don't think they had organic bananas, but I was trying to get organic bananas. So I just had to get the regular, but normally I eat organic bananas. Anyway, nobody cares. All right. So anyway, so good to see you guys. I hope you have a wonderful week. I'm sorry I'm not here to make a real video, but anyway, this is my life right now. This is just insane. So Wednesday, I've got 2 appointments. I'm going to the chiropractor again to get him. I'm getting him to work on my jaw because my jaw is jacked up from all this too. So he's like, your jaw is really tight. I'm like, yes, I know. I told him about the implant and the crown and all that mess and how it was off and blah, blah, blah. He was like, it's so tight. I'm like, I know. So that was why I messaged the dentist to tell him I've been to the chiropractor. He's working on it, on my jaw pain, because I had put 2 and 2 just together and realized this is probably more of a bite problem and the crown just maybe being too tall or being just not quite right. So anyway, y'all pray that this gets fixed. I love my dentist. I'm happy to see my dentist every 2 weeks for however long it takes, but I'm just saying, dealing with my dad, dealing with my work. And then like this, like I'm doing the hair appointment Wednesday. In the afternoon, I'm doing the chiropractor. And then Thursday morning with the kids. And then Thursday morning with the dentist. And then then I got to be here Friday, back over here Friday. And then Saturday, back over here for Dad's birthday. We're getting together Saturday. It's the 28th, but we're getting together on the 25th. So you see, like, who has time to be at the dentist every 2 weeks? Like, I adore him, but I don't have time to do, just, and them trying to get me an appointment and me working. And being out of town all the time, being here, like, twice a week at least. Difficult at best. So anyway, just please pray that this, if you're a praying person, just, and I know a lot of you are, just please pray that this finally gets fixed. I'm so sick of it. Love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Comment and let me know what you guys have been up to. I love you so much. Bye.